Hi, I'm Jason Gorber, and we're going to look at the Accentum wireless headphones from Sennheiser. Sennheiser is a brand that's been around forever, it seems. Some of my best and favorite headphones are from the brand. My earliest experience with audiophile period were a pair of Sennheiser headphones that were substantially better than the actual speakers I had. I've owned many pairs over the years. And now that everything is going Bluetooth, everything is going to wireless, I've actually been really pleased with a lot of their products. Their Momentum 4s were on my list of the best headphones that I reviewed within the last 12 months. They came out sort of last year, and they're sort of settling in on that. And what's really nice about a company with a story and a history as Sennheiser, like other companies, but this one in particular, is that there's a great deal of trickle-down technology. So essentially, you can think of the Accentum as essentially sort of the little sibling of the Momentum. Momentum have a couple features that this is lacking, but and really those are for those that want the extra step up. I think a lot of those features are actually quite important, certainly for my listening. But for those that sort of don't really need that kind of stuff, I think the Accentum are an excellent pair for you to actually look at. Spoiler. Let's talk about, in a funny way, not to be super negative, but let's talk about what's not here. So one thing that I really want in a pair of over-the-ear headphones is the ability to actually plug in wired. And these do not have that, unfortunately. And there's the sound itself is close, not quite as good, and the build quality is close, but not quite as good. I mean, you can see it's slightly more plasticky feeling. The actual outer area is a little bit thinner, which does result in a little bit more sort of not external noise. I mean, yes, external noise from things coming around, but even just when I was walking in wind, I could hear the outside wind sort of rattling on the actual case a little bit more than I could with the sort of slightly bulkier but slightly more premium model. That's the sort of, I mean, these are nits to pick, but nonetheless, they are things that one actually has to worry about. But if none of those things particularly matter to you, if you want pretty good, if not class-leading noise cancellation, if you want decent build quality and a comfortable thing, if you don't care that there's no case here, if you don't care that there's no mini jack in, these are probably the better model for you over the slightly more premium model, its sibling model. So let's look, again, the case is very straightforward, simple. We have here up to 50 hours of battery life. You can just get preposterous battery life with over-the-ear. There's just obviously much more room to actually put batteries than there is with in-ear. Enjoy crisp, deep bass, and brilliant highs from Sennheiser's unique acoustic design. Basically, that's admitting, in a funny way, when they actually say that on here, something that I really think that people don't quite understand very much is that all of these devices are tuned. Like, there are engineers whose job it is to say, I want this sound and this sound. It's not like they build them all to say, just give me what the frequency response is. No, in the same way that some people like things a little bit, a little bit more bass, a little bit more treble, a little bit more presence, etc. It's one way that they actually have to delineate themselves from the competition, but also, interestingly, it's one way of really seeing. A lot of that comes then down to taste. As long as it actually manages to reproduce most of the frequencies in whatever way, you can dial things in. There are equalization options in the app. There are apps for Android and iOS. Absolutely work fine. Once again, Sennheiser, unfortunately, you cannot completely disable ANC. It's really frustrating. You can have either the sort of a mode where you can hear a bunch of noise that's actually going around you, or you have noise cancellation, but you can't just turn them both off. And I really wish that was something. It seems like something in software that should be able to be done. I certainly haven't been able to find a way to make it happen for what it's worth. From there, as it says, customize the sound to your preference via equalizer and sound modes. Yeah, so in the case of this guy, out of the box, they're pretty bass heavy. They're like, hey, we think that you're going to be listening to stuff where you really want the bass pumped up. And what's nice is I can actually go in and sort of tweak some of those bass settings, get rid of those elements, and make it, for me, a slightly more, for lack of a better word, neutral sound signature. Select active noise cancellation to block ambient noise, or use transparency mode to let your surroundings in. Again, It doesn't say turn them both off. And I really wish it did. That goes with it for the Momentums too. It is one frustration I have for Sennheiser. And then it says, command your listening experience with easy-to-use buttons. So, let's actually look inside as I'm reading out the box. Inside we have, unsurprisingly, a pair of headphones. You don't have a case. You don't have anything. You don't have external cable. You have a charging cable, obviously. But that's all you got. Inside here, underneath the flap, we have USB-A to USB-C cable and some documentation. That's all we got. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, one thing I really like about Sennheiser design, you can see sort of on the right, look, it says R&L. It makes it really simple right on the printing on the inside about which side to put, which ear to put it on, which I love. The actual buttons on it are all on the right side, the R side, and it's probably a little bit challenging to see, but you can see there's actual physical buttons here. On a lot of earphones, it's when you're controlling, you're sort of doing a bunch of tapping, which I'm not actually a huge fan of. I actually do like the fact that they're actually big, not big, but that they're actual solid buttons that can be customized. You have an up, down, you have a center button, and then you have essentially a power or Bluetooth connect button, and then you have USB-C. You have a little dot here as part of the microphone system. It does use beamforming to actually work. Call quality is good. It's pretty good. Again, not quite class leading like its sibling, but nonetheless decent enough. And as I said, the sound out of the box, I think that if you are really into things that are really thumpy, and that's the sound that you're looking for, you're going to be very pleased. I had to tweak it a bit, but nonetheless, it's great that I can tweak it, and that's the part I really like. The headband itself is relatively comfortable, but I mean, it's hard to see, but the actual plastic itself, when you're jostling around and actually hearing it, it's relatively thin. Now, the ear pads are comfortable, and when you put it on, I had this for hours. It's very comfortable, very easy to use, and what's great about this kind of construction, when you have this sort of like fake leather and this memory foam stuff, is even without noise canceling on, it does a pretty good job of just softening outside noise, allows you to focus on it, which is why I want to be able to turn off ANC. Nonetheless, here we are. We deal with the cards that we are dealt with, as it were. Once again, no mini jack input. USB-C does do the trick for charging. Charges relatively quickly. All things considered, that you're getting 50 hours of battery life. I used it for well in excess of 30 or 40 hours before I even bothered plugging it in. Just days and days and days of use, and that's pretty tremendous. The actual band itself has this sort of squishy thing on the top, pretty comfortable, and as it goes down, all of this stuff, everything here is sort of a hard plastic, some of it a bit smooth and glossy. But this is it. The earphones themselves will actually twist this way, so if you're going to put them in a bag or something like that, you can do it, but again, no case, so you just need to do this. They're really light, they're really comfortable, and as I said, if you're not sort of focused on the things that it doesn't do, the things that its sibling products do, and you're looking for just a good, solid pair of headphones that borrow a ton of technology from its bigger siblings, gets a sound that is pretty darn close, that it's only when you're going back and forth between the two of them, especially after you've done some equalization, to really hear the difference, hear how one has slightly better soundstage than this, slightly better articulation with certain instruments, etc. These are pretty great. And so I would absolutely recommend, if these sort of fit your range of what you're looking at, you don't need some of the additional features, you just want some good solid pair, which is substantially better than what most people actually choose, especially for their first pair. But even after years of getting it, these will last you quite a while, and I really think that these are a choice well worth recommending for those that are not interested yet in making the jump up from to its sort of bigger sibling. So that's our look at the Accentum wireless headphones from our friends at Sennheiser. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you actually think about these, and I'll see you next time I'm on the video. Cheers. Take care.